to That Wrestling Podcast.
Welcome to That Wrestling Podcast. It is Jason, Joe, and Kevin. And due to load management restrictions, Brian has been benched this week. Don't forget to follow the show on social media at That WrestlePod, YouTube at That Wrestling Podcast. Thanks to everybody who is watching on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe. We're still on that goal for 4,000 subscribers before WrestleMania. We're about 300 away, about 3 or 4 weeks away till WrestleMania. So we're almost there, but we definitely could use your help. And don't forget, you can always reach out to us on DMs or Gmail, thatwrestlepod@gmail.com. So, boys, we have new women's tag team champions, Lita and Becky Lynch. Kevin, we'll start with you. What did you think of the title change?
I'm probably going to sound Mr. Negative, right? I've for some reason, I've never been a big fan of those belts. Not the look of them. Not the look of them. It's always just like two random people thrown together. It's not like Viking Raiders tag team, right? Like that type of situation. But is the positive
Kevin,
now?
The
Kevin,
Iconics?
Yes, that is a very good one. In recent times, no, but I did love how Becky was fangirling when Lita came out. Like it just looked like they were having fun. The save at the end, I like the switch. I don't see it long term, so I wonder where they're going to go with it. That's the exciting part because it's kind of like up in the air.
One place they can't go, the Viking Raiders cannot win the women's tag team
title.
title.
I know, but that's the only thing that came to my mind. I was going to say Bushwhackers or something like
they can't get them either. They can't win.
Yeah,
them.
They can't. But I was excited to see Lita. I always like seeing Lita. I'll tell you that.
Joe, yeah, we know, Kevin. Joe, thoughts?
It had to be done. It's WrestleMania season, and sorry, Damage Control is not a WrestleMania championship match. Becky and Lita are with Trish. So I thought it needed to be done. They had to take the championships off of those two. And with Trish coming back, is it going to be a 3-on-3 match, which I hope not, or will it be Becky and Lita versus Ronda and Shayna? Because they've been talking about the tag team championships, and Becky and Ronda have their little history anyway, and we can get Trish versus Bayley.
So I was thinking it's going to be the Damage Control against Becky and Lita, and then Trish against Bayley. Now, what I found interesting about Bayley, she was dressed as 2000s Lita at ringside. You know, just no visible thong.
No thong up halfway up her torso.
Back. So, like, you are right. This had to happen because Damage Control as a tag champs, wasn't really working for me. And it is WrestleMania season, and it's the biggest WrestleMania ever in Hollywood. So they're going to be calling out all of the legends to take part. Now, what I don't like, what happens to Candice LeRae, Piper Niven, Nikki Cross, Alexa Bliss, Nia Jax, and all the other women on
Nia
the roster
doesn't work
now.
there.
We're going to get now at least 3 women's matches at WrestleMania over 2 nights, which is good. But there's a lot of women on the roster that probably deserve a WrestleMania match, but aren't going to get them now, which sucks. I'm not a fan of that. Trish's entrance, though, it seemed very Canadian. I wonder if it was supposed to be for last week in Ottawa. And what I mean by Canadian, a lot of red and white, a lot of maple leaf flags. Very interesting that they decided to pull the trigger this week with Trish coming back. And then my final thought on the match, and I don't know if you guys picked this up, Lita looked pretty blown up at the end there. She was very slow motion. So, I mean, for a woman that had her peak 20 years ago, her prime 20 years ago, I mean, I get it, but, you know, hopefully she'll hit the house show circuit over the next month to get more reps before we get to WrestleMania. Kevin, you got something?
Yeah, you're saying the home crowd of Grand Rapids, Michigan wasn't big for Trish. Yeah, Lita. The thing with that, when excuse me, still in great shape, still looks great. But if you don't do it full time, and you're in the ring with Dakota, with Io, and of course with Becky, like one of the best to hold her own. She gassed, but I like the belts on her. But let me ask you this: say they do go against Ronda and Shayna, who would win?
Ronda and Shayna.
They are full-time
AKA
members of the
absolutely
roster.
destroying Lita somehow to build more.
But I like the idea of having Becky and Lita versus Ronda and Shayna because it would give us 4 women's matches on the 2 nights because you would get Bayley versus Trish. So instead of having 3 matches, you would have 4, and you'd give another group of women. Because I mean, as much as I'm not a fan of Ronda Rousey in WWE, she does have the name, and it is in Hollywood. And she's on the poster. She has to be on there somehow.
Also on Raw Monday night, Chad Gable and Cody Rhodes. What a match!
Nice.
I mean, I wasn't expecting much out of it, but man, was I pleasantly surprised. Now, how much longer do we get Gable and Otis? Because it looks like he's going to the Maximum Male Models. But if they split, what do we get from Chad Gable? We'll start with you, Joe. What do you think happens?
I think he decides to mentor someone else who's down on his luck, and that would be Baron Corbin.
Ooh,
they have the history from the King of the Ring. Corbin's treading water. I mean, like I said a few weeks ago, like the last couple of years, I'm like, can't stand him. He's been shoved down their throat. He's terrible. Now I kind of feel bad for the guy because they've completely given up on him. So I think that would work for me, is having, if Otis, because he's a comedic wrestler anyway, so it works out for him being part of the Maximum Male Models. I'm already laughing at that and calling him Otis. But I would like to, Gable can expand the Alpha Academy and have his former nemesis, who used to make fun of him as Shorty G during the King of the Ring tournament, be his new protege.
Kevin, do you think Gable can be as big, if not bigger, than Kurt Angle? I know you're an Angle guy.
You hit it right on the bat. I want Shush out of there.
Okay.
Out. Who cares if he gets booed? Angle got booed, and it was great. Put him back to the wrestling machine. Put him back non-comedic. I don't want Alpha Academy. I want Alpha Academy to be the door shut. Right. No comedic. He's brilliant as funny as he is. I want to see him go out there, no nonsense, and not like a Taz, no nonsense wrestling machine, right? Go out there more like Angle, work up the crowd, right? I want to see him in that, because, geez, that match with Cody. Like I remember Brian, Joe, and I was like, you guys live, because right when I saw that Cody cutter, I was like, rewind, watch again, rewind, watch again, rewind. And I'm just like, holy crap. And then, of course, that crossroads at the end where it's like, I don't know. This is the thing. Cody made those moves look great, but Chad Gable made those moves look great just for the timing, kicked up his legs to make the crossroads even look crazier. I want to see Gable rise up, get that big title run. Because, like, so he won tag champs with Jason Jordan, tag champs with Bobby Roode back in the day, right?
I don't know if they won the belts. I know they won.
I don't know if
did they win?
He was tag champs with Otis.
He deserves a good singles push. How high is it going to be? World champion? I'm not going to say that, but he deserves a singles push.
A simple yes or no answer from both you guys. Does Chad Gable win a singles title in 2023?
No.
Yes or no? No.
I'm going to say goes for it, championship matches, and I'll also say no.
Wow. It was a yes or no question, but whatever.
I followed directions.
Yes, you understood the assignment. So, Kevin, you weren't here last week, and the three of us all said, hey, we don't want Brock Lesnar versus Omos. Well, as of recording, we're getting Brock Lesnar and Omos at WrestleMania.
Dud. Now, I was ready.
This week, finally.
No.
A week later. You don't want to do it. So what's
two guys who
interesting
can't follow direction
about Brock Lesnar and WrestleMania? Rumored that we were going to get Steve Austin and Brock Lesnar. We were rumored that we were going to get Gunther and Brock Lesnar, which would have been pretty badass. I imagine Brock wanted no parts of the Bray Wyatt nonsense, which is why Bobby is getting Bray at WrestleMania as supposed. But do we think this Brock versus Omos on March 3rd is for real at WrestleMania? Kevin?
Yes. As of right now, yes. In the lead up, all I want is more MVP, because if Omos talks in any of that, I would even be more disinterested than I am right now. Just even thinking of that match, it's gonna be bad. It has to be like 15 seconds, right? It has to be. It should be shorter than Kofi match.
So, Joe, do you think? Okay, well, no, let me ask you this, Joe. What do you think happens at WrestleMania in the match?
5-minute match. Lesnar wins. Nothing special. Omos will push him down to start off the match, and then Brock will give the look like, what, that just happened? And then he'll suplex, F5, done.
Man, the suplex would be insane.
Right, but we've also seen Omos is talented and he is athletic, so he can pull that off. And the thing is, like, seeing Brock like F5 a giant, we saw that with the Big Show. It's like we saw it with Undertaker. We see it all the time. We saw it with Mark Henry. We saw it with Braun Strowman. So seeing him do it to a guy who's 7'4", impressive, but we've already seen it. This, like, you talked about the rumors of all the matches. What about the biggest rumor, that this is the match that Vince is in charge of? And after watching the VIP Lounge on Monday, if it's true, it's so obvious, because that segment dragged.
Right.
And it reminded me of Raw from like 2 years ago. And it ended with a spit take, which only old men think is funny. So like everything like screamed, this is Vince's match. So if he's in charge of, like, if he's back in some sort of capacity and he gets one match and this is what his baby is, it proves how out of touch he is with the product.
Well, Brock, though, has come publicly and said that, I'm a Vince guy. So yes. I think it makes sense that if Vince is doing something for Mania, that is this match. Now, I mentioned Bray Wyatt and Bobby Lashley earlier. Last Friday on SmackDown, we got the return of the Firefly Funhouse. I watched it twice, and I literally said, I don't know what I just saw. Then on Monday night, we get Bray interrupting Bobby with the Muscle Man dance that we saw 4 years ago. And then, I don't know if you guys caught this, there was Uncle Howdy's spoken part on Friday for the Firefly Funhouse. Everybody thinks it's Bo Dallas. I deep down think that it's Brock Lesnar or Dolph Ziggler under the mask because of the blonde hair. Word on the street. Now the
new rumor.
It's Eric Young.
Yeah, that's right.
About 2 months ago, literally got storyline got murdered on Impact, killed on TV, and rumors that he's back in WWE. So, did you guys watch SmackDown last Friday, and did you understand what the Firefly Funhouse was about, Kevin?
It was kind of like breaking the fourth wall. He's in the production room. There's a game show, weather time, hands with fighting figures, and it was confusing. But the thing is, most of them are somewhat confused, like not straightforward, where there's always hidden messages, right? But yeah, it was kind of a weird one.
Joe, thoughts on the Funhouse return last Friday?
There were also signs in the crowd before the Firehouse, the Funhouse too. Rewatch it. Like, what was the thing that was being said over again? It was a lie. It was like, what was it? Don't believe the truth. Those
I don't-
signs were in the crowd the first hour of the match, and I'm like, okay, who's promoting what? What is this guy doing? Is this some loser with the podcast who's trying to promote it on live TV? Who would do that? Anyway,
Not you.
then
Not you. You had the
not me.
prime opportunity, and you tried to
I
shake
know,
a
and I
shot at the
didn't do it.
king, and you missed.
Anyway, the point is, I thought that's what when I saw those signs, I thought that it was someone promoting their own stuff, but then that was the last line, and I'm like, oh, they were doing that throughout the whole show. So it's another one of those Bray Wyatt, like it's spread out throughout the show. You have to pay attention to everything. I'm not that excited. I'm really not. I think it's dragging. I think this is I'm not entertained by this. If it turns into something like rumored the Wyatt Six, where it's going to be not just Bray, not Bo, and not just Eric Young, but it's going to be a bunch of guys who are left off to the side and came back to take over. Okay, I'm fine with that, but let's see where it goes. But it's a short leash.
Something's got to
Overall,
happen with it.
well, I've been very vocal. I mean, I like Bray Wyatt, but I don't understand anything that we've seen. The only thing I have really enjoyed was the Mountain Dew Pitch Black match with LA Knight. I'm all in for that. I still want that Mountain Dew Pitch Black pay-per-view. Can we please make that happen?
Did
Who
you see
knows?
the
I love
announcement?
that. I love that LA Night called New Day the Nerd Day.
That's funny.
There's like a what is it? A New York Lights Out match. Bray versus LA Knight at Madison Square Garden. Like I guess it's a house show.
It's a live event. Yeah.
Live event.
Interesting. So we saw a lot on WWE TV this week, but the thing we have not seen are any Hall of Fame mentions.
Yeah.
And what's weird is I've been to the Staples Center in the last 6 months, and there are posters on the wall for SmackDown and the Hall of Fame all over the Staples Center. So we're supposed to get a Hall of Fame, but we've heard nothing. Normally, it's about 6 weeks out from WrestleMania when we start getting the inductees. Now, a couple weeks ago on this show, we drafted who we think the Hall of Fame class should be. And as of right now, we're all wrong. Kevin, any chance we don't get a Hall of Fame this year?
There's always a chance, right? Maybe it's 10 million to 1 that we don't. But the more and more I think about it, my number one draft pick of The Rock, maybe he's going to be a solo. Maybe they're just going to make an announcement. He is Mr. Hollywood. It's in Hollywood.
The Miz is Mr. Hollywood. Get your shit right.
Well, I did like it that he was announced
He is
as
the A-lister.
guest host of the whole WrestleMania. There's going to be a class, but they should start announcing. It's
well,
4
maybe
weeks from Saturday.
Maybe tonight on SmackDown, if you're listening on Friday, we'll get our first inductee. Joe,
Classes are usually 6 to 7, right?
Yeah,
Average?
give or take.
Mm-hmm.
So we could get one on each show to make it 8.
Yeah.
But if it's a big name like The Rock, like The Undertaker last year, he did 35 minutes? Mm-hmm. However, another reason why I'm wondering if they're not making a big deal about it is it's not its own standalone event. It's after SmackDown. So if you buy your ticket to SmackDown, you're there for the Hall of Fame. It's not like another day of tickets to sell out a building. So it's not a revenue generator anymore like it used to be. So, Joe, with this lack of 8 Hall of Fame references and mentions, what do you think about maybe just no Hall of Fame this year?
It's already been promoted. They're still going to do it. It just won't be spectacular, I guess. It won't be a solo shot because if they didn't do it for Undertaker, they won't do it for anyone.
True.
As a solo, the only time they did a solo Hall of Fame was for Andre, the first one.
Yes. Okay.
So,
well,
it could be John Cena could be put into it. He is going to be on Monday.
Ooh,
that could be the announcement in his hometown crowd.
Off.
He is Hollywood now. And it's not like Hall of Famers have to be retired anymore. Lita, Trish, Edge. So it's like Cena could kick it off.
It's a good call.
Everyone else after. I don't think he was even drafted on our list from anybody.
No. So stay
So-
tuned for future potential Hall of Fame mentions on WWE TV in the next couple weeks.
It will be breaking news on
WW
sportsillustrated.com. That's what's always breaking news.
Yeah, it's like SI or,
ESPN
Sports Center
or TMZ.
whatever. Yeah, some weird announcement.
It makes it more legit.
Yeah, I guess. So WWE on A&E this weekend, past weekend. I had no interest in watching the Jake the Snake documentary. I loved Mankind versus The Undertaker. Now, I was interviewed for that one, and I did not make the cut again. Joe, did you watch any of WWE on A&E?
No, I didn't watch the Jake one because I've seen Beyond the Mat and the resurrection of Jake the Snake Roberts, Diamond Dallas Page's documentary. So I didn't feel like I needed to. I'm more interested in this weekend's one with China to see
Yeah.
how big of a hatchet job it's going to be.
Kevin?
And then
sorry.
I didn't get to watch the Rivals either because technically I have YouTube TV and they don't have A&E, so I'm doing the A&E app where they show it for free, but so many ad breaks and the ads are like 3 minutes long and it's like constant. So an hour and a half event lasts about 3 hours.
Well, Joe, you probably could have said, "Hey, I didn't watch anything on A&E," not to ask me. But Kevin, have you had a chance to catch any of the A&E this weekend?
I have watched the Jake.
Is it sad
here and there? Yeah, it's. But he even says he doesn't have relationships with some of his kids. He has relationships with some of his kids. Doesn't have it with others. Excuse me. Didn't realize he got in the business. Maybe I forgot in other ones. He started at 18. Got his ass kicked around. He said he really feel like he could have flourished in the Attitude Era, like his persona. Excuse me. But a lot of what we knew, depressing redemption story, his story, getting second chances. It's heartbreaking.
I don't
it's
do
heartbreaking
with those the heartbreaking stuff. Like my wife and I watch A Million Little Things on ABC, and there's a storyline right now where the one character's dad is early dementia, and I can't watch it. I'm like, I just need to fast forward this because I hate sad TV. I'm not a fan at all, which is why another reason why I didn't want to watch it, because I knew 90% of that thing was going to be the downfall. Did they mention AEW by chance?
Talked about his resurrection of his career towards the end. But the nice thing with this one is he did talk a lot and he's sober, which is nice because a lot of the previous ones we saw with Beyond the Mat, we saw him in very bad drug state. This one, he talks about it, but he's over 10 years sober. That's the nice thing. And a lot of the camera shots really close in the face. Like it showed his age and his emotions just staring at his eyes. It tugged you. I highly recommend it. It's a lot we already know. Some really bad family stuff. You do feel for him. You really do. But I agree with Joe. The China, I really hope they do touch base on the negatives, right? They have to. They can't keep it a bubblegum story, right? She had a rough life at times. I know it's going to be a beautifully put together piece, though, just because of Triple H and everyone's going to have their thumb on it. That one I feel like could be the best of the whole season.
Kevin, let's play the percentage game. What are the percentage that it is a good, heartfelt, and not a hatchet job?
Oh, it's not gonna be a hatchet job. I'll say 99.99%. I think there is a 0.01% that it's going to be a hatchet job. They're going to go into the negatives. I don't think they're going to go into her porn career. I think they'll go into maybe she made bad decisions, drug use type thing. They won't specifically say some bad, the what was it? you said there was like an Avenger one or something like that back in the
Oh,
day.
there's a few. Yeah.
They won't go into those specifics, but I feel like they'll touch base. I feel like on the X-Pac one night in China. I think they will.
Ooh.
They have
Wow,
to.
Joe,
They have to.
Joe, percentage that it is good versus bad.
I think it's going to be a 80% chance it's going to be a hatchet job.
It's
going to be a hatchet job.
Okay.
Yes, I do.
Woo!
Because they attacked Macho Man.
Well, that's what I was wondering. I was wondering if it was going to be like a Macho Man type or, one of the better ones.
I think it's going to be more of a Macho Man. Yeah, I think it's going to be a Macho Man type. I really do. I think they're going to Macho Man. The last hour he got attacked. I mean, they brought in Gorgeous George, and she was like saying all this vile stuff about him, and then like all of like the paranoia. Like they focused on such like Bubba the Love Sponge was on there, and he had no right being on there. So if they're gonna do that to someone who they were in good graces with, and him and his family, and put him in the Hall of Fame solo, you don't think they're gonna do this with someone who was basically was kicked out? It's like they're going to look bad themselves. It's going to be a hatchet job, not just on China. It's going to be a hatchet job on themselves too. I think they're going to basically take some responsibility for it as well.
Were either of you asked about China, DX, anything in Nashville last summer?
No. You're asked about Mankind and Undertaker.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think that I'm excited for the China documentary because she was so awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I think it could go either way. I'm going to go 50-50 either way because Triple H, I don't think Triple H is going to put out the hatchet job, but I don't know, maybe, I don't know. I hope that it's not, but I think it could go either way, which I know is it's a very non-committal answer. So we will move on. So AEW TV, we've got the fourth team for Revolution, which we'll get into that in the Revolution preview coming up in a few minutes. But does AEW have a problem promoting their main champion? I ask this because how many times on this show have we said, oh, this isn't a very exciting title run? Kenny Omega was not exciting. Hangman Page, not exciting. MJF, not really that exciting to me. Jericho and Mox, perfect. Those are the ex-WWE guys, and I wonder if one has something to do with the other. Joe, thoughts?
It was early into the promotion, and the roster wasn't as bloated. But now that there's so many people on there, and it's like it seems like every match is now just stables against stables, and it's just people trying to get their stuff in. So the focus isn't on the individual; it's the focus on the stables and the teams, and that's why. Like, I don't think it's not that they have a problem getting their main champion over. They have a problem getting all their champions over. Anytime anyone gets a title, they lose steam. When the Acclaim got the title, they weren't as popular anymore. The Trios Championship is pretty much worthless. I think the only champion who's making the championship better is Orange Cassidy.
20 wins in a row. 20 wins in a row for OC.
He's the only champion that's being promoted.
And there's a chance he could win the tag belts, which we'll get into in a few minutes. Kevin,
and look at the women's champion too. Jamie Hayter is pretty much an afterthought because all the focus is on Saraya and Toni Storm.
Yeah, and Kevin,
on that one.
What do you think about the AEW championship and its lack of attention?
I feel like I'm piggybacking off everything Joe's saying tonight. He's saying a lot of great points. I think we touched base on it a few weeks ago in a similar fashion. It just feels stale, but I also feel like it's part of the product that's coming out, where I feel like it's good. It's really good, but it's just there. It's not Jericho coming out and reinventing himself to be awesome. Mox coming out, doing something crazy. Like, I feel truly MJF wins or Danielson wins. We'll get into predictions in a little bit. That match could elevate that championship though, and make it kind of a must-see title if done correctly. MJF needs it. Danielson, I feel Danielson's one of those things. I don't necessarily think he needs the belt for it, but put in an hour in there and win it. Hey, you are a rock star, man, already. It's sad, man. It's sad because before the belt, I still am an MJF mark. I'll be very, very wise or very, very honest to admit. I don't want to say anything negative. It's just been lackluster, but that's just because I've kind of been there with the product. So I really want something out of this pay-per-view from it.
I was watching live and I couldn't understand why there were things happening that, when was the last time Britt Baker had a match? Seriously. She's come out publicly.
Is she injured?
And I don't think so. I think that, she has come out recently and said she was, I'm not doing anything. What's going on? And then she came out today, how disappointed she was about the brawl out situation, which we'll get to that in a minute. I don't understand with AEW why every team has to have like a combo nickname. Like Keith Lee and Dustin Rhodes are teaming up on Friday and they called them Naturally Limitless. Like, dude, we don't need that shit. We don't. Just stop. And then, why Bryan Danielson said, fuck. Like, it's not going to be on TV. It's like when a child hears it for the first time. Kevin, has your son sworn?
So it's funny. So perfect context. So we're playing Nintendo, like Super Mario 3D Land or something. Laura, Brett, and I were all going around. The snowman kills him, and he says it. Perfect context. He's like, fucking snowman. we're like whipping that naked and whiplash, say what? And he's like, snowman. Like, so, but it's funny because we don't realize it. That was a little weird. It
was not
unnecessary.
Yeah,
just because he's such a good guy, and
it doesn't help. It doesn't do anything for the product. It just doesn't, and I don't understand, why this is happening.
And you still think that if the Bellas are on there, women are going to start tuning into this product? It is not women friendly.
I think though, Kevin, we talked about that last week, whether or not this is the opportunity because the Bellas are pissed at WWE and that Brie is married to Bryan Danielson. So like this could be, this could be the chance to get them, which I think will help the cause of AEW to increase women's viewership. I
don't need Brie mode though.
Drunk mode, because that's what Brie mode actually is. So we have a bit of a situation on That Wrestling Podcast. Not only have I deleted the notes that I had for the show on my phone, I've also apparently deleted the sent file of the email that I sent you guys with the notes for the show. So we're going to do this Revolution preview. The best of my...
Based on Jason's memory.
Based on my memory, which isn't that great.
Okay.
So we will start with Christian Cage and Jungle Boy Jack Perry. Now, I don't know what that was. Like, did he dig a grave? Did he dig up a grave? We saw the headstone for Christian Cage. What do you think is going to happen in this match that I think most likely will kick off the pay-per-view?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Kevin?
Jungle Boy. I'm going to give it a 1 star.
Joe?
Christian wins.
And Christian,
2 stars.
Wow.
Okay. Oh, 2 stars. Okay.
Ooh.
I like it.
You know what? No, actually, I'll give it 3.5. I bet you they're going to have a good match, but Christian will win.
Will Luchasaurus interfere?
Ooh.
Yes,
Now,
but Christian still wins.
Now, I heard on a podcast today, apparently, the reason we haven't seen Luchasaurus and why I potentially saw him on the cruise, sans mask, that means no mask, is that there is some sort of lawsuit about the design of the mask, very similar to Mike Tyson's face tattoo. So I don't know if they're connected. I mean, I heard on a podcast, and who the fuck believes what you hear on a podcast? It's interesting, and I hope we do get him back. Yeah. The tag team titles are up for grabs. It is the Guns against the Acclaimed, against Triple J, which is an awful name, and against the Best Friends of Orange Cassidy and Danhausen. I think that we do get the Acclaimed retain the titles, and I have another prediction pertaining to this, but we'll wait till later. So, Joe, what do you think? What do you think is going to happen in this tag match?
Claimed are going to win the titles and actually pin the Guns. So it was like,
okay,
and that will set up Acclaim versus Triple J for the next 7 weeks until the next pay-per-view. So we're going to get
I know
7 weeks of feuding between them.
I love Triple J. I would love if Triple J would win the titles because I love Jeff Jarrett. Kevin, thoughts on the tag match?
I think Acclaimed. I think Danhausen throws in some fun scissoring moments somehow into it, like maybe getting different tag teams doing it. It's going to be a fun match.
I've become a pretty big Danhausen fan since the cruise, so I'm all in on this, but I don't think they have a chance in hell of winning. The women's match, Saraya against Ruby Soho against Jamie Hayter. Kevin, what do you think?
You're doing a great job by memory.
Yeah, you're remembering.
Like you're doing a fantastic job because I always follow when we do the previews on my phone.
Yeah,
you're doing fantastic. I think I don't. Is it bad that I say I don't care?
Not at all. I've used that answer several times on this show.
I just don't care. But
this will be the bathroom break. This will be your bathroom break.
To be honest, I would love to see Jamie Hayter win, just to stick it into him and let the heels keep going heelish. And I used to love Paige, man. I don't know.
Who?
Who's that?
Who's Paige?
Oh, I used to love Saraya.
Who's that? It's Saraya.
Saraya. Yeah. 3 times. Dang, at least I didn't get 3 strikes out.
Turn the page. Move on.
Joe, do you care about this at all?
I don't care. No, I don't care. Saraya wins and spray paints the title because it's a shiny new toy and they're ripping off the NWO.
I think maybe this is potentially where we could get a Bella appearance to join the ex-WWE guys. They could be sitting at ringside. You know, it's
really don't
Bryan
care.
Danielson's wife. Oh, yeah, I'm trying to make something out of this. The one thing I hope we don't get is Ruby Soho turning to Saraya and Toni Storm and being on that team. Let her be with the originals. I'd prefer that much better. So we have Chris Jericho.
I prefer Ruby Soho to be on her own, not be with anybody. I prefer Ruby Soho to be like the Diamond Dallas Page of this situation.
Yeah.
The people's champ.
Finally contributing. Awesome. So we have Ricky Starks and Chris Jericho, the JAS suspended, not allowed at ringside. Kind of a weird way, you know, Jericho thought he outsmarted Ricky Starks when it was over, Starks gave that like wink and a nod at the camera and he was like, I got him. So I'm excited for this one. And Ricky Starks, another one that won me over on the cruise, mainly because, you know, he was cool at the hibachi table. So I think Starks does win. I'm sure somehow the JAS gets involved. Kevin, thoughts?
Do you think they'll be locked in a cage that they could fit through in the back?
Oh, yeah, like whatever the hell that was. So I think hope not.
Jericho doesn't need any wins.
No.
None. Starks, I feel like could use it, needs it, and it could propel him. Just kind of like Chad Gable.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
In that type of situation, let him get that huge win. Not a title. Doesn't need to be a title yet. Starks doesn't need that title. Doesn't deserve the title. But he does deserve to beat Jericho at the pay-per-view.
And Joe?
Starks wins, but we get a new member of the Jericho Appreciation Society.
Ooh.
That's not officially a member, so that's why they can interfere. But they become a member on Wednesday.
Oh, they're like they are like a
Recruit
prospect, like in the motorcycle club ways. That's interesting.
That's a great idea. That's great.
I hope it's somebody new, new to AEW. I don't know who that would be, but I hope it's not Action Andretti. Like they turn him. Like I hope they don't go that route. You know,
that's
who
what I was
to be
predicting. Is someone like that?
I want it to be 2 new members of the JAS, and that would be the AOP.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say FTR. I was going to be like, please don't say FTR.
No, fuck that shit.
That's how Jericho can outsmart that contract. Is they weren't officially members,
right?
But Ricky Stark still wins, even with the shenanigans.
Yeah. I think the only match left is the title match. Am I right, Kevin?
Mox versus Page, Texas death match.
And that's weird because
wait. You got two matches before it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll go Mox and we'll go Page at the Texas Death Match in San Francisco, where Mox is from Cincinnati and Page is from Virginia. So I'm not sure how it's a Texas Death Match, but I hope that Page gets the W and Mox goes on that 6-month vacation he was supposed to get last year that Phil messed up. We'll start with you, Joe.
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said, especially the Ohio versus Virginia in San Francisco, Texas Death Match. This is the geography lesson of the night where it's like, we don't know where anything's at. But Moxley will bleed. That's a
no way. Shocker.
He will bleed probably within the first 5. What's the over-under? I'm going to say 5 minutes.
I was going to say 4.5.
You know
4.5 minutes. Over
Since
under.
It's a Texas death match and everything's legal.
Okay, we're gonna go
I
over
think
under
within the
13 seconds.
I'm going under 30 seconds.
Oh,
so he's gonna bleed in his entrance.
No,
wild thing, and he's gonna sit in himself like Goldberg.
I think that Mox comes through the crowd. Page ambushes him with a Texas bull rope because it is a Texas death match. Not a San Francisco bull rope in San Francisco, but it's a Texas bull rope and a Texas death match. Under 30 seconds, Mox is bleeding. So what was the other one I missed other than the title match?
The trios.
Samoa Joe versus
trios. Oh, 2 matches. Yeah. So we'll do Samoa Joe, Wardlow. I think Wardlow wins. Would not be surprised if Joe retains. Kevin?
Yeah, I'm blind. So I didn't even see that when I was looking at the preview. That's another one where it's just like, okay,
it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
I'll say Wardlow.
Wardlow wins because Samoa Joe has 2 championships, and Powerhouse Hobbs versus Wardlow is the better match for TV.
Oh my
Heel
God,
versus face.
Very cool. And then the trios: House of Black against the Elite. Kevin?
I'll go underdogs. I'll go House of Black.
I think that too. The trios titles are useless at this point. Like the fact that the Elite won them, I would have rather seen the Death Triangle against the House of Black. I think we already did see that at some point, but the Elite, I mean, I imagine somehow they're going to win, but I hope it's the House of Black. Joe?
Elite win, and this is really my don't care match of the night. It's going to be exciting. But the whole trios championship is just don't make it a trios championship match. Just have it be
a non-title match.
A non-title match. Like it's that whole thing about the championship. It doesn't. The championships bring the people down in AEW. So they're better off not having championships.
Maybe it should be one of those.
House of Black versus the Elite, and that's all you say. Not for anything. It's more exciting than House of Black versus the Elite and their made-up championship so they can all have titles together match.
Snarky Joe. Good times. Maybe it could be one of those BS. It's a championship qualifier where a challenger Doesn't fight another challenger. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Challenger versus champion for a championship no thanks. No thanks. And finally, the main event. MJF, Bryan Danielson, 60-minute Iron Man match. Joe, start with you.
MJF retains. Final tally will be 4-3.
Kevin?
I think MJF retains. This propels the title to the level it needs to be. Gets me out of the AEW funk, right?
Funk indeed.
Because I know it sounds bad. I think I said 3 times during the preview. Not really interested in this match. I want to be interested in the fucking matches. I think MJF. I think it's going to be good. I think truly at the end, Danielson's going to go to shake the hand. MJF's going to spit in it, walk away. He's going to win 4-2.
So I think Max is going to have some help, and he's going to win. I'll go 7-6. I think there will be some nonsense finishes, like MJF's purposely going to get disqualified for hitting a chair, but then he's going to beat the shit out of him with the chair so he can get a couple more wins because Danielson will be – I think Danielson gets ahead. Max does the thing with the chair, gets a couple finishes, but I think he gets some help from a returning FTR and a returning CM Punk. Not necessarily to help Max, but to stick it to AEW. I think they beat down Danielson. I think they beat down Max and NWO but it's those guys to be a threat to AEW, not just the wrestlers, just the threat to AEW. This week on Dax's podcast, they talked about the Pinnacle. And what was interesting is Dax basically said, we thought the Pinnacle was to elevate everybody. One person thought it was to elevate himself. And it was Max. They talked shit on Max quite a bit. So if you're not listening to FTR with Dax Harwood, you definitely should. I love everything about it. On Wednesday mornings, that's my long drive to work. And it's usually around 2 hours. And I listen to it from the minute I get in the car till I drop my dog at day camp and then drive to work. It is a great, great podcast. And I do think that I think I said 7-5 or 7-6. I don't remember. Do you guys remember what I just said?
7-6.
7-6.
7-6. Some shenanigans and some help. And just hopefully Bryan Danielson does not win the title. I do hope we get a Brie Bella sighting and a Bella's sighting throughout the night with in the crowd for the women's match for this. Hopefully MJF will spit in Brie's face and call it and say that's Brie mode because that would be awesome. So Revolution. You know, we went a few years ago. Hopefully they'll get one back in the Midwest sometime soon and we can all meet up there again. Brian is, like I said, not here due to load restriction. He's been benched this week. We will all be back. Well, actually, let me rephrase that. I will be back probably Sunday night after Revolution for a review show and recap. Don't forget, follow the show on social media at That WrestlePod, That Wrestling Podcast on YouTube, TikTok. What else we got? Twitter, Instagram. I just deleted our Hive account, so you will be missed, Hive. I think that's it, guys. You guys good? Anything else we want to get out there? Because I'm kind of like talking in circles right now. Anything?
I think you did a great job with that preview.
Thank you. Enjoy wrestling, everybody.
Even though you didn't remember 2 matches.
Damn.
I know it's twice, jerk.
I know.
Thanks for listening. Follow That WrestlePod on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. 1, 2, 3, that's it! Thanks for watching That Wrestling Podcast on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. And for more That Wrestling Podcast content, follow at That WrestlePod on social media.